Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Well, Flames fans, as if you can read my description, I expected this to have some wrestling undertones. Talk of things like the Motor City Machine Guns, who just joined WWE. But I didn't think I would have to include the term jobbing when I was going to talk about this one. Because boy, oh boy, did the Flames get jobbed with potentially the worst call I have been a witness to in the NHL. And I've seen a lot of hockey in my 31 years on this planet, folks. But we will get through it all together as we are back once again. Flames falling 2-1 in overtime. Before we get any further, I am going to shout out probably one of the more sane shows you'll see on this network. That's the flagship show of the Game Over Network. You can catch it on the Game Over channel, Hyperdrive Hockey. All things hockey across various leagues in multiple countries. Wherever it is and whatever it is, Max, Daphne, and Kev have you covered for all your hockey news with a steady dose of fun and fan engagement. You can find Hyperdrive Hockey on the @Game Over Network YouTube channel or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Make sure to give it a like and a thumbs up if you're watching on Apple or Spotify. And hey, give this podcast a like and a thumbs up. But you can also catch them on the Hyperdrive Hockey page at thegameovernetwork.com. Boy, oh boy, did the Flames not play well in this hockey game. I don't think I am making anyone gasp with shock and awe when I say that statement. But the Flames stayed in this until the Lines people said they didn't. I'll go through the details here. I had the NHL tab up and now I've lost it in my frustration. There it is, over on this monitor. So this one started off with Alex DeBrincat opening the scoring on a questionable parade of penalties the Calgary Flames took. I think maybe one of them was a real call, which was the Matt Coronado trip, which didn't end up in a penalty. Well, I can't say that. Huberdeau's second call was a slash, but you got to hold on to your stick a little bit harder. I think that's what Jonathan Huberdeau was arguing. Tyler Mott obviously dropped his stick, led to a penalty, led to a goal. And I was thinking to myself, oh man, this is time that the OK Go song, Here It Goes Again, is going to be on repeat in my head. The Flames are going to have this parade to the penalty box throughout the whole game, but for the most part, and actually, it did stop there. Flames didn't take another penalty until overtime, where they didn't actually take a penalty. But I'm real hot, folks. So, power play goal, again, shorthanded, been an issue. Second period, no goals, not a lot of shots for either team. Not a great game of hockey. Third period, let's go 17 minutes and 12 seconds through it. Flames have a power play after a delay of game face-off violation, which I'm sure wasn't on anyone's bingo card. Seeing Dylan Larkin reach down and scoop that puck with his glove. I don't know when the last time I've seen that actually called. I think the last one I actually saw called was in person. I think it was Craig Conroy, just after the rule had been instituted, where he reached down, he had both hands on his stick, but used the gloved hand to knock it back. I think that's the last time I've seen it in a game that I've watched. Not a common penalty call whatsoever, but Connor Zary, right place, right time, had a boatload of space, rockets home the game-tying goal. And we'll talk about this later. I think he was the best Calgary Flame on the ice by leaps and bounds, other than number 80, Dan Vladar. But, you know, we're tied. We're going into overtime. This should be great. It's back and forth and back and forth. Detroit gets it. Oh, the Flames get a clear. We have a line change. We're back to 3-on-3. Oh, there goes Lucas Raymond. He gets stripped of the puck by Rasmus Anderson. And I think the Flames are off on an odd-man break. But there's a whistle from the back linesman. The linesman that is 80 feet away from the play. Oh, you're thinking, oh, there must have been something wrong with the clock. Something up. Nope. The Calgary Flames are charged with a too many men on the ice call that should be called every single line change in the NHL. If that is a penalty call, we are going to see in overtime every single line change in the NHL, scratch that, every single line change that takes place all the way down to Timbits should be a penalty call for too many men on the ice. The player is gliding to the box, has no involvement in the play, does not touch the puck, and he is off the ice before the Flames gather possession. He is not involved in the play. He is not actively a participant on the ice. His skates are not on the ice when the Flames touch the puck, gather possession, or even before the Red Wings enter the offensive zone. Is this another case? Or it would be a whole other story if he's just jumping off the ice, it's a jam play around the bench, Flames player touches it. Yeah, 100%. That's a penalty. But when, I think it was Braden Hall who was skating off, is striding to the bench, 80 feet away from the play, he's not a player on the ice. He is skating to his bench for a line change. I'm sure there are Red Wings fans that are writing online right now that by the letter of the law, that is too many men. If you are saying that anywhere online right now, you have not watched a game of hockey in the last decade. Every single time there is a line change, there are 6 to 7 players on the ice. But it is given as a grace period as long as they are not engaged in the play and the puck isn't at their skates or on their stick. But somehow, we might call this the Motor City Miracle 2.0. Because between two officials, Tyson Baker and Devin Berg, the two linesmen in this game, I don't know who made that call. It could be Devin Berg from St. Mary's, Ontario, who has officiated 377 regular season games. He's been an NHL linesman since 2018. Or whether it was Devin Berg, who's been officiated 614 regular season games and 74 playoff games. But one of them decided, you know what? That's a penalty in overtime in a game that they have let so many tit-for-tat penalties go uncalled. Dan O'Halloran is the officiating supervisor here, and I hope his report reads that these two need to go back down and do AHL games for a little while. Because that decides an otherwise very competitive hockey game on a call that I'm going to beat this into the ground, happens on every single line change in the NHL, bar none. Unacceptable at this level. It'd be unacceptable if I saw this when I go to the Max Bell and watch the Circle K Classic in 2 weeks' time. And that's the top level of AAA. I don't think there's many people that would argue with me that are on the Flames side of this. I'm sure we could have some Wing and Wheel fans that come on over, check this stream out and say, what is this guy smoking? But as I said, if you disagree with me, I will challenge you. The NHL, I'm sure, has the video. Let's go watch 60 minutes of hockey and see how many times there are 5 to 7 or 5+ players on the ice during a line change, and how far away from the bench they are. Open challenge. I'll do it with you. I'll take the time out of my day. Because boy, oh boy, that is a awful way to lose a game to stay in the playoff hunt for the Calgary Flames. So now that my rant period is over, hopefully you're still watching. I don't like getting like this, but as I said, it's not acceptable for officiating at the highest level of our game. So let's on to period number 2. But before I do such, we got to do another one of those lovely ad reads. Game Over Network is an independent production focused company, which is focused on community, inclusion, and quality people. If you're interested in supporting the Game Over Network, we have crowdfunding options available. In the description below, or as I call it, influenced by the Green Brothers, the doobly-doo, we have a way to follow us, which is called Patreon. We are also working on a page for LaRouche, which is a similar crowdfunding platform for companies originating in Quebec. For LaRouche, we are eventually hoping to raise around $15,000. If we do that, we can hire a lot more people and a lot more full-time access. If you have any ideas for what you'd like to see, giveaways from these crowdfunding efforts, let us know in the comments after this video gets fully uploaded. You can hit us up on X, Blue Sky, Instagram, or join us on our Discord server if you want to see me melt down in our public chats about how the officiating in this game has gone, my thoughts on Dustin Wolf. And hey, maybe you want to see more rants, more passion from our hosts. Let us know. So period number 2 is going to be talking about the two Flames who I felt took a step up in today's game, and one of them I've said needs to be traded. That would be Dan Vladar. Darth Vladar kept the Flames in this one. So I don't think I've quite seen a shooting performance like the Flames had this game since back when me and Peter Klein did the breakdown for the Calgary Flames when they took on the Seattle Kraken. And that's a shock to me. Especially after the game they had in Ottawa, you think the Flames would have come ready to play. And for the first, let's call it 7 minutes of this game, that did appear to be the case. Even if you took a early penalty and then you saw the back-to-back Jonathan Huberdeau penalties. Flames looked like they were ready to play, and then the second period happened and that was gone. Now, whether that is the tiredness or maybe this team starting to feel apathetic or feel a little too big for their britches, saying, oh, we're top of the Pacific Division. We're on our high horse. Who knows? I certainly don't. I don't have an answer for you other than Andrei Kuzmenko needs to go eat popcorn for the next 3 weeks. But we're looking at the good things rather than the bad. I'll talk about the bad a little bit later. So you got to have it's kind of like a good sandwich where you have terrible, terrible bread on either side, but the toppings inside are like Schwartz's Deli Montreal smoked meat. So we'll make a good sandwich out of this, yeah. But yeah, Dan Vladar stood on his head. Made a couple of 10-bell saves, especially moving laterally. That's the benefit of having the larger, I'm not going to call him less athletic. He is still a very good athlete. But that's the benefit of having a little bit of a taller goalie. He does have a little bit more reach with those legs. And certainly used that to his advantage a couple times today. I don't think I'm going to glaze him the same way that the Sportsnet broadcast did, but another very, very good performance from a guy that's playing for a contract. Whether that's with the Calgary Flames if he gets an extension and wants to stay in town, or whether that's with a team after he moves on or potentially at the trade deadline. This is a performance that you want to see from the big man. Even if you're a Flames fan that is full on team tank, you need to have Vladar having these kind of performances. Holding down the fort and performing admirably. especially against a team that does have firepower when they choose to use it. Like Mo Sider and Alex DeBrincat haven't brought it this year, but they certainly have that pedigree. So, the other player who looked like he was dancing all alone on his line, which features two absolute duds of players in this matchup, Blake Coleman and Jonathan Huberdeau, was Connor Zary. He is the straw that stirs that quote-unquote first line's drink. And let's be honest, he needs to get off of that line and play with two competent hockey players. I was listening to a little bit on the radio because I had to go drop something off for my housemate, who was supposed to be joining me today, but I forgot he had jewelry class over at Alberta University of the Arts. I forgot his tools at home. So I had to drive those over real quick. And I'm just looking at this, like, how do we have our arguable number one forward playing with a guy who looks like he's playing hurt and with zero confidence in Blake Coleman, and Jonathan Huberdeau, who I've nicknamed amongst my friends as Jonathan Huber Donut, because whenever he's not doing the drop back pass to nobody, he's doing bagel, donut, nothing, nada. We're seeing the absolute chemistry he has with Igor Sharangovich, but you're only seeing that maybe once or twice a night on the power play. Why are they not playing 23 minutes together? Why are we not putting good offensive players with good offensive players? Why are we trying to protect this $10 million investment that has done nothing? It's the gambler's fallacy. We're trying to earn that $10 million back. It's not happening, folks. I don't know if this is a message coming from Craig Conroy or whoever is up on high, but it's not working. I'm not blaming this on Connor Zary being a young center. I think you keep him at center with Igor Sharangovich, and I don't know. Can't be Andrei Kuzmenko on the other side, because that's another player who's doing less than nothing on this roster. Hey, maybe you have to keep Blake Coleman on the other wing, but put Sharkey and Zary together, and at least we'll score a goal a night. It doesn't seem to be rocket science, folks. And I understand, we need to build a balanced lineup. Look what this balanced lineup has got us since we left Calgary. A extremely lackluster effort in both games against opponents that should be at least easy wins. We took 7 minor penalties against the Ottawa Senators and pulled it back within a 1-goal game. We played 40 minutes of hockey, and that's maybe being generous, and took it to overtime against a Red Wings squad. So if we can actually get a lineup where you maybe have to admit defeat and play Huberdeau, Coleman. Actually, no, you don't have a center on that line if you throw Andrei Kuzmenko on that line. But maybe who cares? Maybe you're just jumping over the boards after Kevin Rooney wins a defensive zone faceoff for you. I don't know. But it's just so frustrating seeing this team grind Huberdeau against the wall. It almost feels like, I don't know if you've ever had a dog, but the old school dog training is when a dog has an accident in the house, you rub their nose in it. It almost feels like the Flames fans base is having our noses rubbed in Jonathan Huberdeau right now. Oh, he scored in Ottawa. Can't you see this is good? It's not. Stop lying to the passionate fans in this city that it is. Okay. I still said it would be a good sandwich in the middle, but it wasn't, I guess, because Connor Zary is being used inappropriately, in my opinion. But we'll head to the third period where I have more to say about this roster and maybe some players that need to hurry up and leave. So let's head to the third period. Game Over has you covered after the game, but in order to get you ready to watch your favorite team and your favorite sport, you got to get your game on too. Game On Hockey is a short-form daily news podcast covering everything you need to know about the hockey word today in under 10 minutes. Hosted by Game Over Edmonton's Graham Mossman Monday through Friday on the Game Over Network YouTube channel and on your favorite podcatcher. It's a 10-minute preparation for all things hockey. It's a good combination of facts, figures, and fun stuff. And Game On will also be returning to Game Over Calgary soon. I promise you. Soon your Daily Flames content will be back with a vengeance. Between myself and Anand, Unnithan, who is in chat as well. So keep your eyes out for that and go check out Graham and Game Over Hockey. As we head into the third period, and what do you do with Andrei Kuzmenko? I was listening to mainstream radio here in Calgary, and they said that Kuzmenko needed to potentially go see some popcorn today. Obviously, that didn't happen. He went out for his 13 minutes of cardio. Let's actually get you the official time on ice for the cardio merchant. Cardio merchant, where are you? Andrei Kuzmenko, 15 minutes, 25 seconds of ice time. 0 relevant plays. Hey, he blocked a shot today. So at least he did that. Ryan Longberg played 7 minutes and 53 seconds. Justin Kirkland played 7:56. I would rather see those guys play double-digit ice times than have to watch Andrei Kuzmenko skate around and maybe shoot the puck twice from relevant locations all game. And not be defensive liabilities. Because if Andrei Kuzmenko is not contributing offensively, what is he doing on this roster? And the sound of silence that's coming from my end of the line is about what he is good for without being a goal-scoring threat. Because he's not that. And I was listening to the radio show as well. They're like, oh, Andrei Kuzmenko stayed after and he was out there with coaching staffs just taking 1 million shots. Cool. He should be out there doing back-checking drills. He should be going out there and doing literally anything else. Because he can't shoot during the game, so he might as well be practice everything else that's required in a game of hockey. And Anand just brought up another player that has done less than nothing since he's been moved off of being a full-time center. Martin Pospisil. There's another name that needs to give his head a shake. I'm not sure why he got taken off the center, because he's, in terms of face-off percentage, one of the best the Flames have had this year. But he has been a ghost. And Abid Bendal in the chat saying, Kuzmenko did have 3 shot attempts in the first 5 minutes of the game, but then fell off the face of the earth. Cool. When the NHL is a bunch of 5-minute games, let me know. Until that point, Andrei Kuzmenko needs to go eat popcorn until he finds another team. I heard Boston's looking for a guy who could potentially score goals. We've had many trades with them. I'll take a bag of pucks, thank you. But when you're playing Justin Kirkland, who has been one of the better players on this team, and is defensively responsible, 7 minutes and 56 seconds. What are we doing here, folks? Like, let's be real. Kevin Rooney got his 2 extra minutes of penalty kill time. He looks great. Can't take him out of the lineup. I don't think you can take Justin Kirkland out of the lineup. I don't think you're taking Ryan Lomberg out of this lineup. And let's be real, the Flames are carrying too many defensemen, which means we can only make one change at forward. because we're insisting on carrying... Who was in the press box today? It was Bean and Barry? Tyson Barrie can go make his salary in the AHL. We need to have some options at forward. I understand Craig Conroy might have certain feelings and feel for these guys who have given their all and have proven to be good NHL guys. So, what have they done lately? This is a results-oriented sport. And when you're rotating in once every 6 games, I think is the stats for Tyson Barrie. Let's get guys like Klapka in. Let's call up some of the guys who have been absolutely dominating the AHL until their last recent stretch of games. Like, it doesn't seem to be making a ton of sense with the roster decisions for this team. So who's making those decisions? And because if it's Murray Edwards saying, I want to see this $4 million player, or anyone in ownership, I just go to Murray Edwards because he owns 51% of the shares. Your investment is not recouping what it's worth. And Murray Edwards, brilliant businessman. CNRL, brilliant company. Maybe it's time to know when to cut bait with some of these guys. But we're going to head on to the overtime segment. I just got to make sure that I click off all the things I need to click off before I head over there. What better way to support something you love than rocking it as clothing? Game Over's apparel line has dropped with 3 unique designs. Whether you feel the nostalgic pull of our retro skater design right there, whether you live and die by the goalie like the shirt we're showing right now, or whether you want to make a statement with our established team, which is right there. That's when I ended up going with, which is also currently on sale. You can pick these up, designed by Brady Callis from Game Over Winnipeg. Use that QR code down in the corner. Take a look through our apparel store and help us rebuild local sports media in Canada while repping this fabulous community. And it seems like we get a little bit less of a crowd when we have these early matinee matchups. People are still busy with those children and family and things that I don't have. But is it wrong that I don't think the too many men penalty was that bad? If only because Uyghur was still in his own zone when the second man jumped on. From my viewing, he was in the neutral zone. And from every other piece that I've seen, I've talked to a former linesman about this. I won't name names, but he was as tall as a giraffe, about how this penalty is called. And he said as long as they're not involved in the play, you don't call it. You are correct that it was Uyghur. I'm just looking at who is on the ice now, and I if that is how this penalty is called, I still think that 60% of line changes would be penalties. And if that's what's going to decide a game, especially in overtime, I'm not a fan. Players that have impressed me. The goaltending duo of Wolf and Vladar. Zari, Coronado, Ball, Pahal. I'd agree with most of that. I think Matt Coronado was a little bit invisible today. He kind of felt like he was getting bodied off the puck by a lot of these young puck-moving defensemen that Detroit has. Players that need to show up or something needs to be done. Kuzmenko, Kadri, Coleman, and Pospisil. As we talked about, I don't think Kadri's been all that bad. I just don't think he's been what we're paying him. He's one of our better face-off men. What was his percentages like today? 41.2, so just below average. Igor Sharangovich 100% on the draws. Blake Coleman 100% on the draws, but those are wingers, boosting the average. Connor Zary, yikes, only 31% in the faceoff dot. And you hear it every game from the commentating crew that Sportsnet employs. The Flames can't be in the 40% range and expect to win hockey games. Yeah, the fourth line's been good. And like, if we're gonna separate and have the absolute divorce of Michael Backlund and Blake Coleman, it's including on the power or the penalty kill, maybe that is where Rooney earns his value, and it also brings a second center in on that unit. So I think Rooney has a place. With like Bean back in the lineup, I'd like that 7th and 8th guy to rotate in more often. If you're going to insist on carrying 8 D-men, they should be in more than every 6 games. If not, ship one of them off to the AHL. If you lose them, you aren't playing them anyways. I don't think that player is Jake Bean. I don't think that player is Miramanov. I don't think that player is even Joel Hanley. I think there's one obvious name who is a veteran NHLer who doesn't provide much. Especially now that the power play is actually producing without him. Let's get Klapka in some games. Can be Klapka over Kuzmenko right now. I'm in 100% in agreement with you, even though I don't think Adam Klapka should be a top 6 forward in the NHL. And why have we not called Peltier up with how ineffective that Kuzmenko has been? Again, that's a guy who you claimed didn't make this squad because there's not top 9 forward minutes available. And as I said, Cardio Merchant, Andrei Kuzmenko, Cardio Merchant, recently Blake Coleman, who the guys on Sportsnet did say that they think Coleman might have had an injury because there was an optional skate yesterday when they got into Detroit, then a not so optional morning skate, and Blake Coleman didn't participate in either. So you have to think maybe there's something with that. And is Blake Coleman at 70 or 80%? Is he better than playing Adam Klapka? This is a guy that's refusing to come out of the lineup. I don't see the point. If he's hurt, throw him on the IR. Say, I understand you're a veteran and a heart and soul guy from this team, but go see our team doctors and then go spend a week back in Texas. Go celebrate and watch your Dallas Cowboys lose to the Redskins for Thanksgiving. And Tokay number 1 with exactly why I'm so frustrated. That was one of the worst teams in the league we just lost to. And I'd argue the Sens on that same level. So you've lost to 2 of the worst teams in the league after battling hard at home and defeating some of the best. So where are the Flames? Are we average? Are we a team that plays up to good competition and plays down to bad competition? And I can go back to the solo show again. You've seen all our merch anyways. But consistency has not been a fan of the Flames, and the Flames haven't been a fan of it. So I'll give one last shout out if anyone has any last questions for myself. But you're going to see a lot of me, folks, because I'm actually back again for the first of the 2 Johnny Gaudreau Memorial Games in short succession. I'm actually going to be at the one that takes place in Calgary. But yeah, tomorrow is going to be a gut check game from the Flames. If they can't come to perform tomorrow for their fallen former teammate and play a consistent game in the name of number 13, then I think the boom needs to be lowered by Craig Conroy. Watched the team for years. They have a penchant for making middling goalies look like Vezina winners every year. And Tokay number 1 saying we'll lose against Columbus too. And as I said, if they lose to Columbus, I think that he needs to start trading players. Whether that's, as I've called for, the trades of Dan Vladar to one of the teams that are so desperately struggling for goaltending right now, whether that be, hey, I know you just were in Ottawa, let's hop you back on a WestJet flight across the border. Or whether that's Carolina, who's also struggling. They've got a couple long-term injuries. And maybe you package Dan Vladar and get a little bit of the packing tape together and throw an Andrei Kuzmenko on there as well. Who's a guy who could really actually succeed in the weird Rod the Bod way. But we'll see. Going once, going twice. And to steal the former host of Game Over Calgary, let's put a bow on it. As I said, we will be back again on Friday. Calgary Flames head to Columbus to take on the Blue Jackets in a game I'm sure that'll have plenty of tears from fans and players alike, as we remember the life of Johnny and Matt Goudreau for the first time before they come back to visit Calgary on the 3rd. But on behalf of myself and all of the Game Over crew, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back a little bit later this week.